Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be making concrete weight plates. The main reason behind this is the fact that iron weight plates are out of stock everywhere during this quarantine because everyone's trying to build their home gym right now. And if you try to order some online, if they are in stock, you're going to get charged a whole bunch for shipping and you're going to have to wait like 3 weeks for them. So making concrete plates for yourself is a good alternative. It's a lot cheaper, it's a lot quicker, and it's kind of just a fun, I assume, moderately easy project. We're going to find out. I'm going to go through this process for the first time with you guys, so you'll get to see any mistakes that I make. I'm going to start out with some small plates so that any mistakes I do make are small mistakes, hopefully, and then we can correct those before we get into the larger plates. Supposedly you lose about 5% of the weight of the concrete when they cure, so I'm going to aim for 5% over on all of the concrete plates that I'm making, and hopefully that gets us right around the weight we're looking for. I'm aiming for 2 45s, 2 25s, 2 10s, and 2 5s. One great thing about this is that it is extremely affordable. To make a full set of these plates, you can make them for just about 30 bucks. I'll include the materials in the description of the video if you want to go check those out. Here are the materials I used. I spent about 60 bucks, but I bought some things that you don't necessarily need if you're just trying to bare bones build some concrete plates. Okay, so I'm going to start out with 2 10s and 2 5s, giving me 30 pounds of weight, so that should be exactly half this bag, if my math is correct there. So I want to start out with that, see if I can get the process down pretty well. And then once we do that, we'll go for the 45s and the 25s with the 2 remaining bags and a little bit of the half of this bag left. We should have just enough. So what I'm going to do is cut the PVC pipe to actually fit the size of the mold. I'm going to cut it so that it reaches the top of these molds and this mold. And however much concrete we use to get to the weight we want it at, we'll just cut off the rest of the PVC pipe that we don't need. I just want to make sure that I get that ready for when the concrete is actually wet, so that we've got as much time as possible to get the concrete in place and tap it so it's nice and clean. So these are supposed to be our 5-pound weights. We'll see how that works out. They're about 3 1/4 inches, looks like. This is supposed to be my 10-pound weights. 5 inches. Alright. So we got 3 1/4 and 5 inches. Let's get to it. So I've remeasured it. I'm deciding to go with 4 3/4 instead of 5. Measure twice, cut once. Easy to say, harder to do. This one fits pretty good. Fits right around the circle at the bottom. This one is going to give us some issues centering. Alright, so now it's time to mix the concrete. I went ahead and bought myself one of these little Eggbeater mixers from Lowe's. This was like 17-18 bucks. So if you're really trying to do it on the more affordable side, then you don't really need this. I just didn't feel like using a shovel and mixing it all by hand because I am lazy. So we're going to get half this bag poured into the bucket, pour in some water, get it to a consistency that we like, that's easy to manage, not too watery, not too thick. Try and get it into these molds here and then let it set for 24 hours at least and pull them out and see what it looks like and see what we learn from this, so that when we go into doing the 45s, we don't run into those issues. One thing that I haven't done is actually chop up the little corrugated steel mesh so that the concrete doesn't break apart. So I'm going to chop up a couple of those bits so that we can put them in with the concrete so that it just strengthens the concrete a little. In case it cracks or something, it'll hopefully stick together a little more. Alright, so we've got a bunch of little scrap pieces of this corrugated steel that I'm just going to toss in random places inside these plates here to hopefully keep them from breaking, give them a little more stability, and if they do have some kind of issue where they crack, hopefully this keeps them together. Make sure you wear a mask. The dust is not good for you. So it's a lot easier to add water than it is to take out, so I'm going to add little by little, keep mixing until I get the consistency I want. So the reason I'm doing this by hand right now is because the motor on that drill started to smoke. So I'm giving it a break. So this should be a 10-pounder. Let's see what that gets us at. 9 pounds. We're gonna try to do 10.5. Maybe 8. I brought this out specifically so I could just vibrate the sides of this to try and get all of the air out that I can so that it condenses a little tighter. So I'm just gonna turn it on, vibrate the edges of these, and call it a night, let them level out, see what they look like in the morning. Okay, it's a new day, same clothes, it's quarantine. Who are we trying to impress? The concrete's cured. We're gonna check the weights, see how close we got to the actual weights that we're looking for. We'll trim off the excess PVC pipe on it, and then we'll start going on the 45s and the 25s. Okay, first up we're going to weigh the 5-pounders. 5.6. Pretty close. I'd say maybe without this little bit of PVC and maybe the plastic off, maybe we're within a 1/2 pound. It also says 5.6. Okay, now for the 10-pounders. That says 10.2. And this one says 10.2. I don't know if you can see that. 10.2. Now we're going to take these out of the moldings. We might need to cut them out. We'll find out. I would like to not cut them so that I can reuse this. We'll see. Shape, actually. What are you doing out here? So I'm going to clean up these edges as best I can before it gets too much harder. Like that. Poke a hole through right there. Nice. Beautiful. So so that one didn't leak at all in the center. Didn't come out very clean. There's kind of a lot of holes in them, which is fine. I mean, they're the weight we need. I don't need them to be pretty. I don't know if I'll be able to reuse these little ones. There's cracks here where I had to push down the PVC pipe in order to get it centered. But these ones are great. I can use these both again. I'll tell you right now that this one's not centered. I don't know if that'll affect it or not, but I can always make another one. Also a little off center. So those small ones weren't very good because I couldn't center them within these little ridges. I don't know if you can see those little ridges in there. Those gave me a hard time. Whereas these ones, that 2-inch PVC pipe fit between those ridges perfectly and it actually centered it for me. So these 10-pound weights might not work out. I might have to make them with the 10-inch molds instead. So there's the thickness comparison, 10 and 5. Okay, so according to my calculations, very scientific calculations, it should take about 5 inches, like 4.5 to 5 inches of this concrete to equal 45 pounds with a diameter of 12 inches, which is what the mold is that we have. So I'm gonna cut out a 6-inch section, 2 6-inch sections, just to give us a little bit of extra wiggle room there. Do 6 inches of PVC pipe, and we'll pour that in, let that sit overnight. This time I won't forget to put the corrugated steel inside the cement like I did last time to give it a little bit of extra structural integrity. And we'll see how the 45s turn out. I think I'm going to make it a little bit more watery this time to help fill those gaps and make sure there's no holes or gouges anywhere. Okay, so now we're going to cut 6 inches off of the PVC, and then if we've got an extra inch or so, we'll trim that off just like we did with the 5 and the 10 pounders. There we go. Okay, so for these 45 pounders, I really only had one piece of wood that I could use as a bottom for the actual cement to sit on. And I'll be able to put both of the 45 plates on that. However, I'm gonna have to weigh the first one with the wood. The wood's 11 pounds, so I'll subtract that from the weight to get it to 45. Well, to get it to 56. And then I'll add another 45 on top of that when I'm trying to weigh the second one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to weigh that one or not. I might just have to eyeball it and compare it to the first one and just hope for the best. I'm going to try a little different process this time because I kind of messed up the motor on the drill last time. So I'm going to try and do the water first, add it little by little and mix it. about 45 right now, but that wood actually weighs about 11, so still need about like 12 pounds. So we are at 57.6, so 45 plus 11 pounds for the wood, 56, and then an extra pound to pound and a half. We're accounting for a little bit of weight loss when it cures, water evaporation. I'm gonna add like a half pound. Of the plates poured. I'm just going to kind of tap the edges around it to help get any air bubbles out. Okay, so we're going to let those cure overnight, and tomorrow we'll take a look at our small weights that we made and see if those are a lot more dried out. If they are, we'll test them out on the bar. We're going to cut the PVC pipe off of those, trim those up. We might also trim these ones up tomorrow, and we still need some 25-pound plates, so it's not a short process, but it is very cheap. Alright, so we've got 3 sets of plates done now. I'm going to take the 45s out of the mold, try and tap that out, and then I'm going to trim off the PVC pipe and possibly get the 25s done today if we've got time. Got a 45-pound weight. Well, I don't know. I should check the weight actually right now, see what it's at. Maybe my initial wood measurement was off. Okay, so we made 50-pounders instead of 45s. That's alright. And that was just due to the wood and trying to figure out the weight. I thought that wood was 11 pounds, so I must have measured that wrong. .8. So we got 2 50-pounders out of it. Okay, so we've got them all unwrapped. We're gonna start chopping off some PVC pipe, see how smooth we can get that, and then we'll work on the 25 pounds. Alright, so we finished up with all the plates. You can see I've got 2 50-pounders, 2 25s, 2 10s, 2 5s. I was also able to get another 2 5s out of that, so 190 pounds total out of those 3 bags. So the only thing left to do now is mark the weights of each of the plates. So I got some spray paint, and I'm going to just cut out some stencil numbers and spray paint on the weights of each plate, and then we'll test them out. Yes, here we are. 50-pound plates, 25-pound plates, 10-pound plates, 5-pound plates. We've got a full set and 2 extra 5-pound plates. So I am super happy with how these turned out. They are definitely going to get the job done. We'll be able to get swole from home. I'm gonna pop out a couple squats here for you, just to make sure they work. Woo! That's it. For $30, you can have this full set of concrete weight plates. You just got to put in a little bit of work. Get creative with it if you want to number them, or if you want to wrap them or pad them, do whatever you want to do. But for 30 bucks, you can have a full set of concrete plates to work out from home. I hope you guys learned from some of the mistakes that I made, so that when you go to make them, you don't make those same mistakes. So what did we learn as we were making these plates? One, if you are using any kind of surface to put your wet cement on, and you're including that in the weight, calculating the weight of the plate, make sure you actually know what the weight of that surface is. For example, the wood I used I thought was 11 pounds when it was actually 7 pounds. Just measure twice. 2, make sure to have your metal mesh or any kind of metal that you're going to put inside it to maintain the form ready, so that you don't have to do a bunch of work once the cement's already wet and you're just kind of fighting against the clock. 3, make sure that any mold you use has a flat surface on the bottom so that no cement leaks underneath when you're putting that PVC pipe down in the middle. 4, and this is kind of personal preference, I would say if you're going to do 45s or 50-pound weights, you're going to want to use at least like a 16-inch diameter mold. This 50-pound plate is great. It's 50 pounds on both sides, but it's kind of a little wide. I would like it to be around the same width as this 25-pound weight. So in order to do that, you need to increase the diameter. So I would go with the 16-inch instead of this 12-inch mold that I went with. All right, that's it. Hope this gave you some confidence to make some concrete weight plates of your own so that you can make some gains while we're in this whole quarantine. If you're watching this after the quarantine has ended, lucky you. Must be nice. That's it though, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.